Good afternoon everyone and welcome back to my channel. What I'm going to show you today is the Slimming World baked marmalade rice pudding. Now I've made this before and it got a really good reception and quite a few people asked for the recipe. So I'm going to show you this today. Unfortunately the recipe isn't up on the Slimming World website. It is however in the new Sweet Dreams book. So if anybody's got that, you can look it up in there, and that's a little picture. So Marie, you won my giveaway, so I hope to see some recipes from the new Sweet Dreams book. So what you'll need for the rice pudding, it's quite simple, is 2 large oranges, some pudding rice. You'll need 125 grams for this recipe. So yeah, this is pudding rice. Then you'll need some low sugar, less sugar, reduced sugar marmalade, and some sweetener. So that's all you'll need, and you'll need some kind of Pyrex dish and a pan to boil your rice in. So it's a dead easy recipe. So the first thing you need to do is preheat the oven to 180 degrees or 160 degrees for fan or gas mark 4. So I've got my oven on, and then we're going to grate the zest from 1 orange. So I'll go and do that and come back to you. I'm pressing stop record on my phone. Well, that's no good, is it? Because you're on my iPad. You'll also need 800ml of unsweetened almond milk. So that is really nice, and you can have this as a healthy extra A, but just check the app how much you can have. But for this recipe I'm going to sin it. So the total sins for a serving of this rice pudding is 3.5 sins per serving. But you do get, if you buy a litre, you can use 800ml in this recipe, and then you can use 200ml to, if it's your first time you've never tried almond milk, you can sort of experiment with it and see if it's something that you'd like to use in the future. Definitely I did like it in my coffee and on my cereal, so I think this will, when I'm getting into porridge in the winter, I'll definitely be getting almond milk. Right, so that's what you'll need. On to the next step. I'm sure you all know how to grate the rind out of an orange, but I've just got a small bowl with a grater. I'm just going to scrape the orange over the grater until you can see the white underneath, and you can see you get a few little bits of zest under there. So I will do the whole of this orange, and then we'll see what the next step is. Right, so what we're going to do now is measure the rice. So we need 125 grams of dried pudding rice. Right, so that's 125 grams of pudding rice. Then we need to, in the pan, put the 800ml of almond milk. Once again, it's unsweetened that you need to get. Just zero this out a second and change it to mils. There we go. So again, 800ml of almond milk. This recipe serves 4, and as I say, each serving is 3.5 sins. That's 750. 800 ml. And then your sweetener. Now I did find this a little bit oversweet with 3.5 level tablespoons of sweetener. I don't think I've got that much left anyway. But what I'm going to do is use this up, because that's going to be about 2. Yeah, that's about 2 tablespoons. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a couple of squirts of my skinny syrup in. This is caramel flavour, so that'll go really nice. So I'm just going to put a couple of squirts of that in as well and give it a stir. That is sin-free as well. So then we need to boil the rice. So what it says is, put the rice, almond milk and sweetener into a non-stick saucepan and bring just to the boil over a medium heat. So that's what we'll do. Mine goes up to 10, so I'll put it on about 6 or 7 and just bring that to the boil. I'll get myself a wooden spoon so I can keep stirring. So just come back to it every now and again and give it a stir to make sure that rice isn't sticking to the bottom. So while the rice is boiling, you want to grab your Pyrex dish or whatever you're using and your reduced sugar marmalade, and you want 100 grams of reduced sugar marmalade. So I just need to change that back to grams. So as I say, 100 grams of reduced sugar marmalade. There we go. So, and then we just spread that around the bottom and up the sides. Gives it a really tangy. It's lovely as this dessert. So yeah, just spread that around the bottom and paint it a little bit around the sides if you want to, especially if you're using a bit of a deeper dish. So that's your 100 grams of marmalade. So we're still waiting for the rice and milk to boil. Right, so that is boiling now, so I'm going to turn it down a couple, and it says boil it for 10 minutes. Now last time it took about 15 because I tasted the rice and it was still quite hard, so I will let you know what it's like and whether it needs a bit longer. But yeah, I do like my rice really soft, so you might be a little bit different, but I'm going to put the timer on for 10 minutes and let you know after that what it's like. Don't expect it to thicken up or anything, all you're doing at the moment is softening the rice. So the rice has been boiling for a good 10 minutes and it is actually done. What I usually do is I just get the rice on the end of a spoon and taste if it's gone tender. So then it says take that off the heat, so we'll just turn that off and stir into the rice and milk your orange zest. I think that was quite a big orange actually. And what you will be able to smell the almond milk, and it just makes your kitchen smell really lovely. We'll give that another good stir in. And then, sorry that's not gone off, there we go. Then what we need to do is pour the rice into our bowl on top of the marmalade. Just very carefully. Pour the milk in first, and then all your rice will be at the bottom. So what you need to do is just pour that in carefully, as it will be hot. and then just make sure it's spread out evenly through the dish. Oh, it smells gorgeous. It smells almondy and it smells orangey as well. So yeah, as I say, just spoon the rice through the dish so that it's spread out. Now, when you put it in the oven, it will probably spill a little bit, so be really, really careful because obviously it's quite warm. So what I've done, I'm not going to film this bit putting it in the oven, but what I've done is, actually I can show you this bit, hang on a second. Last time I made it, it did overboil quite a bit, so I've just wrapped some silver foil around the lower tray to try and save any drips. But as I say, when you're transferring the bowl from your top into the oven, be really, really careful. So what we need to do is, let's have a look. So the temperature of the oven is 180, or for fan it's 160. Bake for 15 minutes and then reduce the heat. So I'm going to put this in for 15 minutes and then I'll come back to you. So as I say, if you want to save your oven from drips, then you might want to do something similar. Right, the rice pudding has been in the oven at 160, or it's steaming up, for 15 minutes, and you can see it's slightly bubbling and the crust is forming. So now what we do is we turn it down. So as you can see, I'm also cooking something else at the same time. Reduce the heat to 160 or fan 140 or gas mark 3 and bake for 45 minutes. So yeah, you'll have probably had yours on at 180, mine is fan, so I had it on at 160. So I'm going to reduce mine to 140 and leave that cooking for another 45 minutes. So I will see you then. And stay tuned for another recipe. Right, there we go. There's the finished rice pudding. Well, it's been in for about 45 minutes after the initial 15. So it goes in for 15 minutes, you then turn the temperature down and leave it in for another 45. So it's in the oven for a total of an hour. Then ideally what you would do is leave it in the cold oven to set, but I'm actually wanting to cook something else, so I've taken it out. But that will be just fine there, and when it's portioned out I'll show you it again. And what you might want to do is, if you are having it over a few days, you might find that it goes quite stiff, so that's a good use, also good use for the rest of your almond milk. So probably what I would do is add another splash of almond milk and maybe round it up to 4 sins. But yeah, what I'll do is eat this over 4 days and it will be absolutely fine in the fridge. And I will show you, I know you think I've forgotten to use the oranges, but I will show you what you do with the oranges in a while. Here's the rice pudding divided into 4 portions. Now I will say it is probably best eaten straight away, but as there's only me in the house who eats sort of Slimming World foods, this will be perfectly fine for me to eat over the next 3 or 4 days. And what I'll do is, as I say, I'll add a little bit of extra almond milk to loosen it up again, and 4 sins. So it's completely up to you. If you've got a family that will share this, then it is probably best eaten now while it's nice and fresh and still quite liquidy, because what will happen in the fridge is it'll go firmer and you'll need to put it back in the microwave to loosen it up again. But yeah, I've had a little taste from the bowl and it tastes much nicer. So if you haven't got a very sweet tooth, I wouldn't add 3.5 tablespoons of sweetener. I would add a bit less, but see how you feel anyway. Right, so time to add the orange. What you need to do with the 2 oranges, I decided not to actually show you this bit because my knife skills aren't the best. So if you really want to see how to segment an orange, then look up a YouTube clip. But basically what you do is top and tail the orange, then slice the skin off, and then do the best you can to get rid of all the white bits and chop them into slices. And then garnish your rice pudding with 2 or 3 slices for each person or each serving. And as I say, I'll just keep these in the fridge and that will be lovely. So yeah, just segment your 2 oranges. If a few bits get in your mouth, it won't matter. And that is your baked marmalade rice pudding. Enjoy guys, let me know if you try it. Thanks for watching.